Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources with the hashtag How I Got Custody. You know, you can find all the answers you need on your own. You really don't need me. I help expedite and shortcut the stuff, and that's what consultations are for. You don't need me. You don't need to pay present father $250 an hour. You don't need to pay another loser, family court corner, $250 an hour. That lady spent $100,000 and it took her 10 years to get what she wanted. You don't need to pay Judge Anthony $750 an hour to hear about narcissists that. You already know about narcissists. We're trying you're trying to win in your court case. You can find everything you need. I was a warehouse worker who flunked out of college and destroyed my baby's mom's attorney, who had 17 years under his belt, a guardian ad litem who had 10 years experience and hated men. And then her next attorney, when he came on board and substituted for the first one, he had 37 years experience. I destroyed him over and over and in the Court of Appeals a couple of times. I won some and lost some, but I won way more than I lost, and the losses weren't even that important and don't even really matter. You can find all this stuff out on your own. It's just like you can learn, you could pick a car apart, you take your car apart and put it back together. You can have somebody train you to do it, hold your hand and do it. You could pay somebody else to do it and maybe get ripped off and not observe the process. You can figure it out on your own by reading a book, or you can watch YouTube tutorials and get it done faster, or you can have somebody there talking you through it, or you can have somebody helping you with it. It's really crazy that I got to tell dads stuff like this because I'm telling them stuff that they do in every other area of life, but they stop and they freeze and they're paralyzed because it's their baby's mom and she has the kid, and you're brainwashed into being a henpecked little cowardly punk to think you can't act like a man and rescue your kids. You know, guys will spend time with their kids on the weekend, and the mother says the next weekend, you can't pick up the kid. You can't go to school and pick up the kid like you did last Friday. I'm telling you, you can't. And they obey her. And you could go pick up your kid. It's your kid. You just did it last week. And go, oh, I could get arrested. Well, if it's a crime for acting like the father of your own kid, why did you do it last week and risk going to jail? Oh, the mom said it's okay. So your baby's mom is your Lord and Savior. You're not embarrassed to say something like that? Guys are proud of, oh, I'm just doing stuff to save drama with the kid, and I'm not trying to put the kid in the middle of it. I'm not trying to do this and that. I shouldn't have to tell dads their basic common sense rights. And I shouldn't have to tell them, hey, if you don't know something, there's guys who tell me, I went to court and I got screwed and I didn't call you till after I got screwed. I didn't know what I was doing. Why don't you learn what to do before you go to court and get screwed? That's common freaking sense. But my gender, there's a spell cast over them, and it's a spell of stupidity and retardedness that makes them lose all common sense God gave a monkey. You wouldn't do this in any other area of life. You guys go spend $100,000 on attorneys, and every time you spend money on an attorney, they lose. Why would you keep doing that? You can at least lose for free. You've got to be the dumbest mother effer on the planet to say, I'm going to spend $100,000 to lose when you can lose for free and have the same result. You're just a scaredy cat. You're afraid to go alone because you need somebody to hold your hand. How about you talk to a dad who actually won in court and has helped thousands of people win in court, and have them hold your hand through the process and release you and teach you how to do the stuff yourself so you can do it. So anyway, I'm going to show you a great example of doing this yourself and finding all the answers that you need. Okay, so I was helping a guy in Virginia today, so I Googled Virginia Family Court and Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court. That's what's on his court paper, so this is the place we need to go. Common sense. A lot of people who don't, I knew this is the site we need to go to because it says this on his paperwork. The guys would get confused and wouldn't know this. Oh, do I go to here or custody visitation support, or do I go over here? I knew to get on here because I read his paperwork. A lot of you guys look at the paperwork and you don't read it. Why do you think they put paperwork on paper and words on paper? So everybody can read it and know what's going on. And guys don't read paperwork. Anyway, that's, if you were getting hired for a job, I'm going to click on this. If you got hired for a job and they gave you paperwork outlining your benefits and your wage and your bonuses and how much you get for overtime, you would have that stuff memorized because it has to do with you getting money. How come you can't look and read the paperwork when it has to do with your life with your kid? because that spell gets cast over you, and you make a choice to give in to your feminine emotions, and fear or this is too hard overcomes you because you're facing your baby's mom. You let her henpeck you and punk you the whole time, that you just want to go back to that easy ride and just stay away from drama, and you're just traumatized from that. Time to grow some balls and be a man. Okay, so there's all kinds of options here. And since we were on the court system, I looked at this for online services, found out there's e-filing. He lives far away from the courthouse, so we might want to look into that. We didn't have time to go into all that with and we looked at some forms, and he got a couple packets from my store because there's stuff that he needed. So Virginia court system, and again, there's juvenile domestic. He's not in Supreme Court. He's not in Court of Appeals. See, a lot of guys, they'll see something like this, and they'll see a bunch of words, and they'll get emotional, like, oh my God, words. Like, I don't know what to do. Well, what you start with is reading them. That's why you learn the alphabet and you went to elementary school, so you can learn words. And when the words are together, they paint a picture for you, and you can rule out stuff you don't need to waste your time on. Supreme Court. You're not in the Supreme Court. You're in domestic relations juvenile court. So those don't apply. Oh, there's juvenile domestic court. I shouldn't have to tell people this, but if you're in your feelings and your emotions, you will be paralyzed and you'll make a bunch of irrational decisions. So let's just move along and assume that you're one of those guys who actually want, even if I had a guy who was a Boeing painter, Boeing, the airline company. He used to paint planes, and the only time he ever liked to read was skim through his Sunday paper. He hated reading, he hated writing, and he put on a 4-day trial and destroyed a two attorney team that was trying to take away his rights, modify, and get attorney fees from the mom. He destroyed them in court. A 4-day trial by himself because he had the balls to learn. Okay, so we're on the juvenile domestic relations. So I'm looking through this, and when you're on these pages, if you love your kid, you will do stuff like read. Like, I don't like to read and write myself, but I've written countless motions and briefs and winning appeals and stuff like that because my kid is at the other end of that pain and suffering. So pussies give in when it's too hard. Guys who do stuff out of duty and out of love, they will go through inconvenient stuff. So there's a home page for the domestic relations court, but when I was going through here, I was like, here's some manuals. I wonder if there's manuals for pro se's and all that stuff. And then I was like, oh my God, there's a district court judge's bench book. So what the judges have available, there's rules of the court. There's things in here that, let's just see, I can't remember exactly. When you go through here and talk about requirements, there's Virginia codes there. They're giving you the shortcuts because they put this in an organized fashion by topic. Now, this is just Virginia. You don't have to be, all up in here. So, look at this. So, let's say you're doing a contempt motion. They distinguish between civil and criminal contempt. You're not in criminal court, you're in civil court. And they give you the leading case law. They did the legal research for you and are giving you a lesson right here. Now, normally I would have to Google stuff like this if we're going to go through a lesson on civil contempt versus criminal contempt and the punishment and all that other stuff. Clarify whether the proceeding is civil or criminal. This is what a judge has to do. Civil contempt for the purpose of enforcing the rights of parties. The punishment is remedial for the benefit of the complaining party. And it breaks down what contempt is, the obligation of contempt, the court's duty on contempt. Do not enforce a void order. So if you have an order that's void and somebody's doing a contempt motion against you, you can say, hey, that order is void. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's void for some reason. You can't do a contempt here, I object. Look at you get an appointment of an attorney if somebody's using doing a contempt against you. Due process on contempt. Look at this. And this only took me a few minutes to do it. And all it took was some effort and a willingness to want to look at stuff. And some of you guys don't even look at stuff, and you're totally lost, and all the answers are right here. Let's look at my flow page. I want to show you in Connecticut. This reminded me of Connecticut. They have there's a pamphlet on contempt, and there's factors for determining custody. And their pamphlet is extremely organized with a bunch of cool stuff. And they got a whole bunch of case law in here for you. They did a bunch of the work for you. And I've had people in Connecticut that didn't even look at my flow page and didn't even dive in and there's all kinds